Okay, my name is Frank Allen. The date is December 7th, 2020, and I have a guest, Marilyn Page, and she is going to give a declaration of her targeting in her own words. And we will have a chat as long as it takes, and we will start now. Okay, Marilyn.
Okay, great. Hello.
What do you think's the biggest problem with this targeting? It's the mind games, or
Mind control and rape and torture.
can you go into detail?
Okay, daily and while I sleep, I am tortured, and the people torturing me are in Dayton, Ohio, Kettering, Ohio, Miamisburg, Ohio, and they number up to 30 people, 20 to 25 actively viewing me and torturing me, most of which can see through my eyes. They're inhabiting my body against my will. They are inside the skull with this technology, synthetic telepathy, remote neural monitoring, mind control, neuro-linguistic programming, remote gang rape, brain to brain. Neurological attacks, our bodies are shared in a way that it's more intimate than actual rape. They can view the inside of me, which I was aware of, and I used that tactic to scare them. I said, this is a science where we can literally see the insides of each other's bodies, and nothing will stop them. I have tried Matrix-like, if you're familiar with the movie, Matrix, like fighting in a hive, trying to give them wounds, psychological fights back and forth. I'm outnumbered. I'm a 50-year-old black woman. I live in Kettering, Ohio, and I live with a companion that he is also targeted, but they don't communicate to him. So last night my brain was raped and tortured by multiple people. They somehow figured out how to get inside of the skull. They locate and concentrate their consciousness in different parts of my head. The left ear, the jaw, the right eye, the front of the skull. They layer multiple men on top of my face. I can feel the weight of it. My sinuses are squeezing. My brain it swelled. When it first started, these gang rapists, in particular ethnicity of them that are the most abusive, they happen to be black men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And basically, they are trying to make me a torture sex slave, a slow kill, where the only thing that I can do to escape it is suicide. And, forced suicide is a crime. Forced suicide is a method of execution where the victim is given the choice of committing suicide or facing an alternative they perceive as worse, such as suffering and torture, which is what's happening to me. Having friends or family members imprisoned or tortured or killed, losing honor and position, which is what happens to TI, where they could on some level be trying to recruit us to be part of a global agenda that is beyond, I can't understand it. And then I'll stop. There is a court case of a young person in Missouri who worked at a Dairy Queen, and they were tortured and psychologically abused by the manager, Harley Branham. He was charged with let's see, he was prosecuted for manslaughter without ever laying his finger on the suicide victim. And so she was bullied and tortured, and she took her own life. And this is what these perpetrators that we call gang stalkers are doing to me and you and millions of people globally.
Very good. I have to step away briefly. You can continue to talk if you'd like to. I'll be right back, and I will just slip back in the conversation.
Okay, so I am afraid for my life. I'm afraid of being murdered in my sleep. They're practicing. These are not military personnel. These are not soldiers. The people torturing me are poor trash from Ohio. They're sociopaths who are brutalizing me continuously 24 hours a day for about 3 or 4 years. I've been targeted in this way with these weapons for, I imagine, since grade school. There's just unexplainable, mental issues that don't make sense. Children in grade school having panic attacks, that they are basically inside of my brain. As my mother gives birth, they wait and they will target us and monitor us. And then when we become an adult, usually around our 30s, that's when you'll probably notice that they'll communicate to you that we're here and we're watching you in your brain. We're monitoring you. It's quite shocking. And a lot of people commit suicide. A lot of people become psychotic, get locked up in hospitals. And many of the active shooters were targeted. People are in prison. People are homeless. People are hiding in their homes. There's so many damaged Americans in this country because of this technology. I called Frank Allen to talk about how to locate and communicate that my life is in danger to Lockheed Martin. And Lockheed Martin is involved in the attack of the planet. They're actively attacking the human race, the atmosphere, the planet. This is a Nazi organization. They're criminals. They're psychopaths, and they need to be destroyed. Lockheed Martin needs to be destroyed. All these contract companies who are selling weapons to anybody who will pay. They can do private selling of remote neural monitoring. They can sell to businesses, any kind of technology, and they are not the military. Lockheed Martin is not the military. They sell weapons to the military. So a lot of people get that, and they know this, that they are a fraud impersonating the military, and they're dangerous, and the military will have to come into the picture and pick these assholes out, okay? These people, like Marilyn A. Houston, the executive chairman of Lockheed Martin, a psychopath. James D. Tinklet, the president and CEO of Lockheed Martin Corporation. And what is a corporation? So when you say that you're going to participate in capitalism, that's fine, but a corporation is an organization, usually a group of people or a company authorized by the state to act as a single entity. See, that they're an entity outside of the government and recognized as such in law for certain purposes. Early incorporated entities were established by charter. So corporations enjoy most of the rights and responsibilities that individuals possess. They can enter contract, loan, and borrow money, sue and be sued, hire employees, own assets, and pay taxes. They refer to it as legal person. And there are four types of corporations. And let's see, the three types of corporations, are in the United States are C corporations, S corporations, limited liability companies, LLC. And so they are selling us. They are selling weapons. They are a business, and they're a legal entity. And so general contractors are selling our bodies, and they're destroying our lives. All right, so I'm saying this, that we can sue them, okay? And I believe that the United States of America, that if we could get the TI to come together to sue these contractors, these evil people like the chief financial officer of Lockheed Martin, Kenneth R. Posenreed, who's profiting off of our murder. They're recruiting the poor so they don't have to pay them. So what they do as a corporation, they will target legally or illegally poor people that are psychotic trash on our planet and turn them on us, sick them on us like a dog. So they will, for instance, Charlie Avery, his last name's Bradford. He's a homeless person. He has been charged with pedophilia, molesting a girl repeatedly. He has raped women, and they did not prosecute him. And he was targeted with synthetic telepathy. They then took this trash and put him in a hive of other men who were similar in behavior, and their different brain activity was perverted, sick, and twisted. And they would tell through a person that we don't know, and me and this person who's raping me, he doesn't know who's doing it. They don't know how the program operates, this computer program, remote neural monitoring. They don't know how it works. And so they tell them through V2K commands, synthetic telepathy, frequencies, manipulation, that they should attack someone. And that would be me or other victims of what is an old school term is gang stalking. So you're being stalked to death, and they're basically stealing every single thought, every single memory, all your emotions, your feelings, the way your body functions, and they're uploading this onto a computer. Why? I'm not really clear. Because I'm not them. I'm a victim of it. It looks to be that they are trying to mind control the planet. And anyone who doesn't want to submit will be destroyed. So if you are a whistleblower, and you don't have to be Snowden, you can be a regular citizen and be a whistleblower, which means that you will tell. So that's what I did. And that was years ago, where I exposed what was happening to me on the internet, and it just got worse and worse and worse. I'm being told what to say, actually. They'll do anything to mind control you. Keisha Jones is a welfare mother her mother is Deborah. She talks to me and forces communication to me against my will. She's a black woman in her 40s, 50s. She's a psychopath. She's raped me sexually. She was hired and recruited to rape women in Montgomery County. A lot of us are being sexually assaulted in the country. They're taking on our personas, our personalities. They're hiving on us, imitating us, taking the bits and pieces that they want, and mimicking us like a drag queen. So I have gay perpetrators that are torturing me. They're drag queening me, which means a drag queen is a disorder where someone is compulsively imitating something that they're not. And gang stalkers will do this, where they will pretend to be you, and they do it for whatever reason they can. You don't really know. You don't hear their thoughts. You can conceal you're thinking. And when they know this, the abuse could get more intense. These men and women are basically poison. Okay. Now,
take your time.
I would hope, yeah. I'm basically trapped. Every movement, it doesn't matter whether I'm in the house, I'm outside, I'm at work, I'm with family, 20 people plus are watching and trying to interact with me with abuse. You're not just viewing me. Now, if you say remote viewing, which is an old term used by the military when they first started doing this remote viewing, where they slowly started to expose themselves in the military. Oh, we're doing remote viewing, and they lied, and they would say that they were psychic. They weren't psychic. It was remote neural monitoring, and they were spying on people and sitting on their asses, on their fat, lazy asses, and watching other people live. And we are their life. They are obsessed with us. It's sick and it's twisted. An example. I will communicate. Right now I'm being dominated. So Gary Albright, it could be his last name, it could be a fake. He has a voiceover, a computer program that changes his voice. He's an elderly man. He's disgusting. And he was found out to be a child molester, forcing a girl, to give him oral sex when he was an adult, younger adult. And the perps found out about this when he slept. They interrogated him and found out that he had molested a young girl, light complected, and that he said, I couldn't believe that she would do it when I told her. He often makes child pornography. One of the common things that gang stalkers are doing, they're making kiddie porn, brain to brain, and producing a hologram, and over their eyes, this weapon pulses microwaves into your skull, and the technology is that you can see the thought of the people in the hive. And these pedophiles are making child pornography. And they're actively engaging with sex with people, hiving and ejaculating to children, brain to brain. And so it is technology, it is child pornography, it is the computers, and you could apply those laws to this once it's exposed. If you're in a hive and you're a child molester and you're using kiddie porn, you are attached to technology. The laws against kiddie porn on your computer is a federal offense. So that's a complex issue that has to be worked out. A Rochester man was arrested this month, charged with production of child pornography and enticement of a minor. So what typically will happen in a hive, you will fall asleep. This is what Gary did to me. He was talking over me. He just stopped because I'm exposing him. A black man, he's on disability. He refuses to he has an apartment, but he's trying to stay on the move so he can commit these crimes. They live with each other in different apartments. They change their locations a lot, which is why they're hard to find. They will abandon their homes and leave their shit and go get another apartment, and someone's paying for it. So the victim, the targeted individual, myself, Frank Allen, and many people around the world, they will pull up your memories, which is data, about your childhood, and view you as a child. And this is what they've done to me. And I've woken up hearing Gary touching himself to a girl I knew as a child in grade school. And when I woke up, I tried to stop it, and he told the hive, force her to look at the girl so that I can finish and ejaculate. And he's done this so much to me. He's done it to the other perps. They do this to the TIs, and this is common. And I think TIs need to expose the child pornography that they're using. So if the FBI is arresting a child pornographer in Buffalo, New York, then we have to pressure the government to see this as a way to arrest these people. Pre-crime is being used on us, and I'm sure there's all these complex texts about the law that they're probably trying to get new laws passed to protect spying on our brains, which is against the law. So the targeting of myself was basically a forced suicide. And so I'm desperate, and I called Frank to try to get the language to communicate to Lockheed Martin. I'm picking that company because they've already been exposed for being involved in our gang stalking. And they develop the technology and sell it to these psychopaths around the world. They sell weapons around the world. So what do you say to the president and CEO and the executive chairman of Lockheed Martin that they need to stop this war against civilians that's illegal? They're waging a war, and they're not announcing it to us. They're just attacking people on the planet. The senior vice president of enterprise business transformation of Lockheed Martin. All these strange titles for these psychopaths. So I want to communicate to this group that I want my targeting to stop. I do not want to be targeted anymore. I don't want to be spied on. I did not consent to remote neural monitoring or experimentation. I want it to stop. I want my freedom. I want my life back.
Well, it sounds like you've covered the bases. Is there anything you'd like to add? I think you've got it down.
Okay. Let's see. The welfare community, they are recruiting from this base. And so quickly, I want to say the names of the people that are in the hive. Some of these names might be wrong.
Right.
All right. So, Kettering, Miamisburg perp. So these are white males, and there have been many white females. And I'm saying white or black because, what do they look like? What do they sound like? How do you know who they are? Brian Schaefer is in his 50s. He's on disability. And I've found out different details. He's using his disability to pay people to torture me. He uses his money to pay people to make pornography, child pornography that he's viewed, to ejaculate to. He has used his money to give to many of the perps. They claim they're blackmailing him. So what they'll do is they'll say, if you don't give me money, I will tell Marilyn where you live. So one of the perps, Daryl Washington, who's a homeless crackhead, he's in the hive. He's torturing me. He started to blackmail Ryan for money so he could get drugs. And it's a game that they are kind of like gay lovers in the hive, ejaculating each other on ideas in their mind. Josh Holcomb is probably a fake name. He's from Moraine, Ohio. He wants to prove that he's the greatest game stalker in the world. This is a psychopath that is getting money from people who are on welfare. He has a drug dealer that takes care of his housing. Marcus is a black male in his 50s. He was found out to be a child molester, having a young boy give him oral sex. He sells crack and cocaine, and he wants to get the perps to destroy me. He pays them with drug money to attack me. And this money is not coming from Lockheed Martin or some organization. This is out of their pocket. That's how sick and dumb they are. Bruce, last name Warren, possibly, he's flipping cocaine and drugs, paying people to do all kinds of things in the hive, to think of pornography, in particular child pornography. He lives in Miamisburg, Ohio. He's an elderly man. He's dangerous. He's psychotic. He's using his retirement to live in a hologram. Other people that are on welfare that are torturing me, Natasha Williams. She's from Dayton, Ohio, a black female in her 40s, 50s. She's made child pornography. She also has paid people to torture me. She's bought crack cocaine in bulk. I will give you, to prove that she could have ownership of me and that I'm her slave. She's probably one of my biggest enemies, is trying to destroy me. She is interacting with pedophiles in person who are hooked up in the hive. So this is interesting, friends. They are living together in houses, in apartments, and they're all on synthetic telepathy. And then they torture me, each other, and strangers in the county while they're high. So she will interact with Michael Warden, who's a rapist and child molester. I don't know if he's actually molested a child. I don't think so, but he has raped women. They view each other's history of rape. Let's see. Who else is on welfare? Keisha Jones, welfare. Gary Albright. Virgil Earl Pearson, who is paying people to torture me with his welfare. He's an elderly man. He's also mind controlled. These people are mind controlled. They're mind controlling each other compulsively. So there's several other people that are torturing me. Reggie Lewis, or Robert Lewis, Marcus Weber, possibly that's his name, Doug Edison, Edward Hamilton, Todd Evans, Raymond Walkman. He is torturing me to death. And he is living with another gay man. They're both gay. They are torturing me and the hive. He is the most abusive psychopath in the group. And he will do it for nothing. He's been homeless. He has molested his brother. He has talked about how his mother was a lesbian. He has a brother that is a crackhead. He grew up in Five Oaks, Grandview, in Dayton, Ohio. He has gonorrhea. He has AIDS. I have smelled his virus. You can smell each other's body and the memories. You can taste each other's mouth. It literally, these people have nothing to lose, which makes them incredibly dangerous. That when you're targeted by the bottom of the economic food chain, your targeting will be more severe because they have nothing to lose. They don't own property. They don't have investments. They're not family-oriented. They don't have shame or guilt. Let's see what else. There is a racist aspect on both sides that is used to be a push to abuse white women, that they are, Andrew Patterson in particular, is desperate to rape white women. They have fantasies of raping white women. They have been given access to the brains of white women while they sleep. They create dreams and force people to believe in their mind that they're having sex when they're not, to humiliate them in their sleep. And so all TIs know what that experience is. So I'm hoping that the TIs can be more aggressive about exposing this to the bigger population. And so I was on a conference call with Neil last night, and what do we need to do to take over the summer to get the press to pay attention to us instead of Black Lives Matter? That this is more important. That Daniel Francis Ackerson, he is the former chairman and CEO of General Motors. He now works for Lockheed Martin. He's a board member of American Express. And so he's the chairman of General Motors, and he's working for a weapons developer. So how do we expose these people attacking us and have an effective, aggressive protesting tactic instead of holding signs? Like, what kind of ideas can we come up with? Because I don't think I can live much longer being abused like this, and I'm starting to, I'm deteriorating. My body is deteriorating, and my brain is deteriorating. That black men are destroying my brain. That's basically what they're doing with this neural weapon. And they will continue to do it unless I stop them. And so I don't know quite how to do it. So that's why I'm going to try to challenge the authority that's responsible for getting this weapon out. So my declaration is exposing my targeting, and I will do anything I can to stop it by any means necessary. I'm basically an animal almost. And Ohio, I mean, how lame can it get? I don't want to be concerned with being accused of mental illness. Which is public humiliation. I think targeted individuals are using their fear of being called crazy as an excuse not to fight back harder. When any group is attacked, they come out and force as a group. We haven't really done that in a real way. And I think this fear of lockup in a psych ward, this fear of being labeled something that's not true, is blocking our ability to protest in a real way and get people to be interested in our lives to save us. So Thomas Shaz, a psychiatrist, he exposed mental health as a fraud. Unlike true diseases of the brain and body, mental illness is a destructive social construct that medicalizes living and deprives people of their dignity. According to Shaz, medication, hospitalization, and mandated psychotherapy are little more than coercive, dignity-reducing forms of clinical practice. So we need to organize to protect ourselves from the psychiatric community that might be mind controlled or believing something that's not true, that this tech can mimic any mental disorder that's on the planet. They can literally take the brains of other people from around the world and force your brain to feel and see their lives.
I know it's hard.
So,
It's
yeah.
hard to get all the info out. I think you're doing a good job. And let me know when you think you're at a point where you want to sign out of it. Okay?
Okay. All right. So I want to, let's see. I'm going to try to, on my own, continue to communicate to people who have power over the country to help me and other targeted individuals. And so we have to have our evidence ready. We need to be professional. I'm going to try to be as professional as possible and fight as hard as I can. Today, I had to fight like an animal to get them off of me. I shouldn't have to do that, and I can't even see these people. So I'm basically in a war by myself against a large group of people, and I can't defend myself. Other than that, I'm ready for a lawsuit. It's very troubling when they're mocking me, saying, we already know what you want to do, so we're going to tell you. My whole life is a mockery, and it's just turned into total trash. And I want to get my life back. So I guess that's about it. How is that?
Okay, that's good. This concludes Marilyn Page's conversation concerning her targeting. December the 7th, 2020 at 1:40 p.m.